Today on the Comic Book Report, join me as I do an unboxing overview for the recently released Spiderman by David Michelinie and Mark Bagley Omnibus Volume 2 from Marvel Comics. Easily one of my most anticipated omnibus releases of the year, and I can't wait to talk about it today. So go ahead, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Greetings and welcome back, webheads. My name is Dominic, and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And as I mentioned at the top of the video, today we will be doing an unboxing and overview for the recently released Spider-Man by Michelinie and Bagley Omnibus Volume 2. This not only picks up right after the Volume 1, but it is the perfect gap filler leading directly into the Clone Saga. Now, the unboxing I am doing is coming from OrganicPriceBooks.com. I did personally pre-order this release, and if you'd like anything from Organic Price Books, they are our channel sponsor. I have a link to their website in the video description. If there's anything on that website you like, you can actually use my discount code at checkout, The Comic Book Report, to save $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's a fantastic way to support the channel. Thank you so much for considering. Now let's get unboxing. Okay, and as I go ahead and begin the unboxing, let me just share a little bit more about this collection, starting with what this omnibus collects. This edition includes The Amazing Spider-Man issues 376 through 393, along with annual 27 and 28, Web of Spider-Man issues 101 through 103, along with 112, Spider-Man issues 35 through 37, along with 45, Spectacular Spider-Man issues 201 through 203 and 211, Amazing Spider-Man Ashcan Edition Issue 1, Venom Lethal Protector 1 through 6, and material from Spider-Man Unlimited Issues 1 and 2. This collection, of course, has work from David Michelinie and Mark Bagley, amongst others. It has glossy print paper stock, a sewn binding, and a total of 1,040 pages. Now that I've gone ahead and liberated today's omnibus edition, I did want to go ahead and begin stretching out the spine and also just ensuring that no pages are stuck together. I try to do this as a best practice with omnibus in the recent years, as I've had a couple older omnibuses that I didn't stretch thoroughly enough, kind of have some binding issues down the line. I've seen a couple of people speak to this. I'm not sure exactly how this will hold up with the longevity, but I have noticed it helps a bit. I also know when I pull gently up at some of the pages, it helps lift the eye out and kind of, again, stretch that binding a bit more. I've had some fruitfulness with this, it seems like, at least, but anyway, that's kind of what I'm doing, just kind of freshening and opening this omnibus up for later enjoyment. But now that I've done that, let's go ahead and talk more about this book's exteriors. Okay, and right from the top, I will say the edition I picked up is actually the direct market variant cover for this release. I absolutely loved it. But for collectors out there, let me go ahead and throw up an image of the standard edition cover with Spidey and Hulk. Another striking image, but for me, nothing beats this direct market cover. I love the showcasing of the different villains and Spider-Man kind of mid-action pose. In fact, I'd go so far as to say this is one of my favorite covers to a Spider-Man omnibus, period. Transitioning to the spine, we do have the Marvel Omnibus logo, along with a nice field of white with some webbing. We have Spider-Man, and by David Michelinie and Mark Bagley, Volume 2, and a little image there at the bottom of Spidey. I should say for the standard edition, the image of Spider-Man at the bottom might also be different, but I believe that, along with the front of the dust jacket, are the only differences between the editions. Now, on the back cover of the Omnibus, we do have a thumbnailized look at all the issues included in this set, along with a blurb about the collection, what it collects, the age rating, pricing, Marvel logo, things like that. I will say this dust jacket does have a lot of uniformity with the Volume 1 of the Michelinie-Bagley Spider-Man set. I will show a comparison shot with the Volume 1 for those curious in a moment. But first, let's go ahead and do one more minute on the exteriors of this omnibus. This time I will show you that dust jacket one final time, but this time I will include the interior flaps, which tell a little bit more about this book and the creators. I'll go ahead and spread the dust jacket as well, just so you can see it all at a glance. Again, this is the direct market dust jacket cover with the spine little image of Spidey in this formation. Standard edition will vary a little bit, as I mentioned earlier. Now, under the dust dust jacket, on the hardback book itself, we do have some art printed that I want to talk about. On the front of the hardback, we have Spider-Man in a stage of grief, and we have the title Spider-Man by David Michelinie and Mark Bagley. On the spine, we do have Spider-Man by David Michelinie and Mark Bagley, and we have the Volume 2, and what I believe is the image on the standard edition dust jacket, reproduced on the hardback itself. And on the back, we just have that field of black with the webs that kind of characterize the whole hardback art print. This is again pretty similar to the Volume 1 under the dust jacket. I love to see that uniformity and attention to detail. And now for all those prospective collectors out there, let's do a quick look at the binding for this omnibus. So as I mentioned, this is a sewn binding, and this is after I did those spine relaxation exercises. You can see the book has a pretty nice eye. The pages lay fairly flat, I should say. You'll get a little bit of a look too as I flip through the collection momentarily, but wanted to do a quick dedicated look. And now that we've finished our examination of the binding, I did want to do that comparison shot I mentioned earlier. So here is our look at the Spider-Man by David Michelinie and Mark Bagley omnibus set, including the Volume 1 as well as this recently released Volume 2. Now I did do a full review of the Volume 1 on my channel, I believe sometime last year if I'm not mistaken. I actually really loved that book. Reading through that was actually one of my first opportunities to read a good handful of those issues. Mark Bagley is arguably my favorite Spider-Man artist, or easily amongst my top, and I always wanted to read the proper run he did here with David Michelinie, and so far it really has not disappointed. The matching spines as well are just so striking. Really love what Marvel put out here. Another comparison I wanted to do is the Spider-Man by David Michelinie and Mark Bagley Omnibus Volume 2 next to a previously released Spider-Man vs. Venom Omnibus. Another omnibus I really enjoy that showcases a lot of the early outings of Venom. We do have quite a bit of double dip between these two omnibuses, most notably the oversized hardcover look at Maximum Carnage. I do believe it's present in both omnibuses. I know Lethal Protector is also included in the Venom Omnibus Volume 1, so there's a couple ways to collect some of the issues included in this set in omnibus format already out there. I still think that this is a really striking addition to the omnibus library, and if you're strictly a Spider-Man fan, again, it's a great gap filler between the Volume 1 of this and the Clone Saga Omnibus. Okay, and with all of that taken care of, let's go ahead and dive into the collection proper. Now, after some black end sheets, we do have a title page along with a kind of creator breakdown page, I would say. We have some publication information, things like that, kind of a list of the creators. And then after that, I am happy to say we have a 2-page full numbered table of contents that breaks down page numbers, name of issue, issue number, things like that. Always love to see it in a collection like this. It's a great way to map and index the issues, and especially for a book like this where you just want to maybe cherry pick some of your favorites, a great little resource. After that, we jump into the first issue in this collection, which does pick up directly after the end of the Spider-Man by David Michelinie and Mark Bagley Omnibus Volume 1. So as I mentioned at the top too, this is an unboxing and overview. And what does that mean on my channel? Essentially, it means I do an unboxing, which you've seen. I go a little bit over the build of the book and what this book contains. And now for the later portion of this video, we will be flipping through the collection. I'm not going to speak at length and heavily in detail about it. I'll try to avoid major spoilers or spoilers as able. But of course, as I flip through, there's always a chance you'll see something. So if you want to go completely blank slate into this collection, just be advised. I won't speak too greatly into detail on anything here. I am still making my way through a handful of the issues. That being said, I have read a number of the issues in this omnibus, including the Maximum Carnage event, the Venom Lethal Protector miniseries, and a smattering of other issues. But there are a couple kind of solo Amazing Spider-Man issues in this collection I have never read, and I have always wanted to finish out this run, especially before we get into the Clone Saga era. So again, this was a huge anticipated release for me, but I think it's also just a fantastic release for so many Spider-Man fans out there. In fact, the Spider-Man Omnibus library is getting pretty stacked. In fact, there's a way to have a really large couple chunks of the Amazing Spider-Man run unbroken now in omnibus format, and this was definitely a huge piece of that puzzle. So prospective collectors out there, what can you expect from this Volume 2? Well, we do pick up with some of the narrative threads left over from Volume 1. A big point of that is the alleged parents of Peter Parker, who were kind of visible throughout the Volume 1 of this run. We also have the further development of some of the symbiote villain characters, most notably Venom and Carnage, of course. The biggest kind of huge crossover within this set, of course, is the previously mentioned Maximum Carnage. This was the first big major Carnage storyline after just the birth of Carnage. I think I did review Maximum Carnage by itself on this channel sometime in the past, if I'm not mistaken. That's an event where Carnage and a couple other notable villains team up to just wreak absolute havoc. To stop them, Spider-Man teams up with some of his own allies, including Cloak and Dagger and perhaps Venom. You heard it right, and the fact that we have that entire event included in this omnibus is a real treat. The fact that it's also in here chronologically is just really fun. You get to pick up the event as it was coming out with the Amazing Spider-Man issues, which is always very fun. I think the fact that they included Lethal Protector as well, that 6-issue miniseries, was another really cool addition. I don't know that you had to include it in a set like that, as that is essentially a standalone Venom book that, yes, does have Spider-Man in it. But again, I love that we include it here. I think it definitely adds to what we get shortly after in Maximum Carnage as well. So I was very, very happy to see that in this omnibus. Outside of the big symbiote-based storytelling, again, we do have some stuff about Peter Parker's parents. We have some other great little villain one-offs, and everything, again, paves the way into the Clone Saga. And if you've never read the Clone Saga, it does pick up with Peter Parker in a pretty low point in his personal life, and I do think that that is addressed here at the very end of this collection. Those are some of the issues I have yet to personally get to, so I am eager to finally make my way through these single issues of Amazing Spider-Man I haven't before now personally been able to check out. Again, I mentioned that Mark Bagley is one of my favorite Spider-Man illustrators, and we have some of his best work here. I think this and the stuff he does on Ultimate Spider-Man or Spider-Man Life Story are probably at my top upper echelon picks for what I've seen him do. But yeah, certainly a really noteworthy collection. I'm so happy Marvel finally released it, and it is really lovingly put together. There's again, of course, a ton of uniformity with the Volume 1 release. This is really impeccable 90s Spider-Man. This is like early 90s Spider-Man, maybe 93, 94, give or take. But yeah, a lot of classic stuff here, a lot of retread for me, and again, a couple new issues that I have never read, so really excited for this set. Skipping ahead toward the back of the collection, I did want to showcase some of the extras we have included with this omnibus. We have a lot of great artistic extras. We have some behind the scenes images or production drawings, other little extras and bonuses you'll see here. And this isn't even all of it. Honestly, I was so happy to see the amount of extras we got at the back of this collection. Some real gems here. As an omnibus collector, always love seeing some great extras, and this volume definitely satisfied. But that really is our quick look, unboxing, overview for Spider-Man by David Michelinie and Mark Bagley, Omnibus Volume 2 from Marvel Comics. If you're interested in getting a full review of this title from me, let me know in the comments. I'll see what I can do once I finish out those last couple issues, but I wanted to make sure to showcase this on the channel, as it is just a huge omnibus release I was so excited to talk about. I just couldn't wait until I finished all of the book. Let me know in the comments too if you decided to pick up this book, if you plan to, if you're a Spider-Man fan in general, and what arcs are out there still that you would love to see collected in this format. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, this has been the Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to leave your like, those comments we talked about, and maybe share this video with a friend. Thanks everyone, bye.